Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we're going to talk about pets, and we want you to go get one. My guests are from the Peninsula Regional Animal Shelter, Roger Iles and Erica Lewis. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us.
And I will start by saying they have wonderful dogs. That's where I got mine. I highly recommend it, but it's been a while since I remember I interviewed you when you first opened, and how long ago was that, Roger?
That's almost, actually, just over 9 years now.
Wow. So how are things going? I mean, you were in startup mode then. You guys have been busy.
Absolutely. Well, in sort of reflection of where we are right now, from the 9 years that we've been in operation since 2015, we've seen over 53,000 animals come through the shelter. So just from a standpoint of volume, it's always ongoing. Every day, it's a challenge. It's not one of those situations where you feel like you're ahead of the curve. You're just having to keep your head above water. Mm-hmm. Now, having said that, we have some tremendous programs that help us manage these animals, and certainly today we'll be talking a little bit more about that. But from a standpoint of the shelter, we transfer a lot of animals out to other humane societies and rescues. In addition to that, we have a very aggressive adoption program.
Yes.
We work with community partners such as Casey Subaru, which is a very strong partner to the shelter with sponsoring adoptions. In fact, the month of October, the month we're in right now, they are working with us on a special promotion that's coming up to sponsor all animals for one particular day. And that's exciting. I'm not going to give you that day because I don't want to lead into that.
Who knows when this will air.
Who knows?
Also. But so that gets to a question in terms of donations or sponsorships. You are funded by 4 local governments.
That is correct.
With tax dollars, because the local governments have a legal obligation to handle stray and dangerous animals. But the donations or the sponsorship gives you opportunities that our tax dollars don't give you.
Absolutely. Well, as you can imagine, sort of the 4 jurisdictions that support the regional animal shelter, they have to answer to their citizens. And again, there are programs that need to be they need to be mindful of. So certainly the shelter is just one of many programs that each of the jurisdictions has to manage. So for us, it's important that we don't become the end user in a budget. We want to be proactive. We want to be involved in our communities. We do that from a variety of different perspectives, from going out in the community with our adoption bus, from the perspective of doing on-site adoptions, or just making people aware that we exist. Even today, after 9 years, we still have people that will come and visit us for the first time.
Yeah, I bet.
And that is...
If you're not in that groove of having lost a pet or that you want a pet, you don't really pay attention until you get to one of those places.
And you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So from a standpoint, we really have to engage the guest. We have to make sure that they realize that we're a resource-based organization as opposed to a drop-off or pick-up situation. So working with our community and community partners, we're able to sort of leverage a little bit more of the funding into programs that really sort of work for the community. We offer free microchipping when you have lost your pet and you come to reclaim it. So let me just put that straight out there. We offer that opportunity for you to have the animal microchipped. So that way, if you lose it again, we have you in the database, your animal's information, that we can get the animal back to you.
Because there are some animals that just can escape from a lot of stuff. There are some that burst through a door. There are some that, dig a hole under or climb up a fence. Like, it's hard sometimes.
Oh, you've seen my dog, Morgan. Absolutely.
Does Morgan do that?
All the time.
Oh, no. I remember Lola, the circus beagle, and you couldn't turn your head around when she was in the backyard.
Sure.
So, first of all, you have to take a dog, which is different than some of the other shelters, the private shelters. If someone surrenders it, or if animal control picks an animal up on the street, you legally have to take it because that's what the taxpayer responsibility is.
You're absolutely right.
But you go way above and beyond that. So that might mean you get more dangerous animals. It might mean you get more sick animals, because you can't turn them away. But you're doing a lot of things now to increase adoption rates and even to keep some animals out of the shelter. Tell me, actually, I'm going to turn to Erica this time. Tell me what you're doing. I mean, it should count in your numbers. If Erica prevents an animal from coming in and it gets rehomed happily. But how do you do that?
So we've started a program based on appointments for surrender to hopefully help our community and pet owners make responsible decisions and informed decisions before they feel they need to surrender to the shelter. Of course, we still receive animals on an immediate basis because there will always be situations where people cannot retain their animal or move towards rehoming their animal on their own. But we developed a booklet to help people, a resource booklet that is very comprehensive. It has multiple rehoming websites. It has a page dedicated to how can you talk to a landlord about your pet that you'd like to bring with you, resources for medical support and funding, where you can find low-cost spay and neuter, all of these resources to hopefully help people get the knowledge that they might need to succeed with their pet.
So what are the reasons, the most common reasons that people give up a pet?
A lot of times it seems to be moving. They have issues with their landlord. Pet deposits are getting very expensive. We do see a lot of medical cases where people cannot afford the medical care their pet needs.
That's got to be so sad.
It is.
Like you don't want to give up the pet, but
unfortunately, and a lot of times it is a very emotionally charged situation, and our staff work very hard to provide guests the quality of service that they need to hopefully mitigate some of those feelings, because it is about the animals. We get into animal welfare because we love them, but at a certain point it also becomes about the people, and that's what the resources and the appointment-based surrender is about, because there are organizations out there that might help with your medical needs depending on what they are and what you qualify for.
Yeah, because if you surrender a dog, it's eligible for adoption almost right away, or you might transfer it out or something like that. And then you go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that now. Now I'm sad and lonely. It's too late.
It is too late.
So the appointment thing means you're giving people like a waiting,
yes,
a little bit of a waiting time to decide if, that's really what they want to do or have to do. And in the meantime, you may be able to help them find like food pantries for dogs, or other things they may not know about.
Yes. Chesapeake Humane Society has a wonderful program where if you qualify, if it's a short-term in-between period of some type where you may not be able to house your animal, if your animal qualifies for the program, they have a Safe Keepers type program where they can actually assist people who may be experiencing temporary homelessness.
That's great. That's wonderful. So how long has that been going on? What kind of results are you seeing?
So we officially started the appointment-based surrender January 1st of this year, and it has been an ever-evolving program because it is still pretty new to the area. Norfolk Animal Control started it first, and they've seen great success over the time that they've been doing it. We are really starting to see improvement now that we've been doing the program for 9 months and the training is taking hold, and the staff members are getting more confident with the resources and talking to people. People are electing to keep their pets. People are using our home-to-home website, which the city has purchased to support our community.
So let's just stop and tell us a little bit more about that and how it works.
So home-to-home is a rehoming platform. It is where pet owners can go and post their pet with pictures and profiles and connect directly with the community surrounding them. So the great thing about home to home is once the pet is approved on the page, I can then utilize what they've written and actually post them on our Facebook, which gets them more views, gets home to home more views, and more people are able to go on and either utilize the platform without ever contacting the shelter, or they can find their next pet on that platform. It is a platform that supports no adoption fees. It has its own rehoming sample agreement, so you can actually create your own contract when you place that animal in a new home.
Oh, Oh, wow.
It's a really great program.
That is interesting. So that's one option, is just helping people find a home for their pet.
Yes.
Helping people who have a temporary need, but also some training resources like, okay, I'm allergic to cats, don't have one, but cats, especially male cats, can create problems in a home. And it's as simple as what?
Getting them neutered. So a lot of times people don't necessarily realize until the cat is older that when they are not spayed or neutered, they tend to mark their territory. A lot of people might expect that from an intact male dog, but
Yep.
when the cats do it, it's a little bit more noticeable, and it can be a little harder to get out of, say, your carpet. So a lot of times just neutering or spaying your cat will solve the litter box issues.
And things like using a crate can solve problems with
dogs. Crate training is a great way to teach puppies and even adult dogs to stay clean in their environment. It gives them a safe space to be. Not only does it help with the house breaking, but it will also make sure that your pet doesn't get into something they shouldn't and potentially need a medical surgery for ingesting items that they did not need to be ingesting.
Oh, I didn't even think of that part. Okay. What other things can we do to help animals get adoptable animals? Let's talk about, because you do clearly have some that are extremely sick, and you have some that are really not rehomable because of they came off the street or because they're just whatever, violent, chew up kids, whatever kinds
Sure.
of reasons.
Well, I mean, as you can appreciate with, the situations of animals coming to the shelter, sometimes we don't get the entire story. If they're picked up as a stray, we have to piece the puzzle together when we receive the animal. Certainly receiving an animal from the owner that can give us a profile, can give us information about what the animal likes, doesn't like, if it's a resource guarding situation where it's got their young family members and they go up, and of course the dog is then a little bit more aggressive because it's around its food bowl. So again, things that we can try and sort of understand a little bit more about why the animal is coming to us. From that standpoint, we start to then work and identify a pathway, hopefully a positive pathway for adoption. And certainly you can appreciate with just the volume of animals that we see. Last year it was over 7,000 animals just for one calendar year.
Time out. How many animals can fit in the shelter at one time?
Great
I'm trying
question.
to imagine this.
So the shelter was designed to hold 100 dogs and 200 cats. So when you put it in a perspective of 7,000 animals in a calendar year, you can pretty much assume that we're exceeding on both sides of that number. So from a standpoint, it's important that we work with other shelters, humane societies, SPCAs, and home rescues to a point where we can help place animals where we are starting to become or exceed capacity at the shelter. The goal of the shelter and any shelter is to put good, sound animals back into the community. Now, to your question, if you have an animal that comes in that has a bite history, is that an animal that you're going to want to and feel comfortable as a shelter putting back into the community? Probably not.
Right.
So again, temperament, absolutely. If the animal is got the temperament that we cannot work with safely, the animal unfortunately is a candidate for euthanasia. And that is a reality of a shelter. So from a standpoint of, you always want to manage to the positive, but sometimes situations occur where you don't have that option.
All right. What do you need at the shelter? What would help you rehome more pets?
I think from my perspective, it's from the community side, it's the commitment that once you've made the determination of, I'm going to take this life on, whether it's a dog or cat or a hamster or whatever it may be, that you commit to it. That it's not one of those impulse moments where you go, it's a great opportunity for a distraction for my family, for me, because I'm feeling sort of lonely or something.
And you felt some of that in COVID. There's still people who are returning or giving up the pets they got when they had to work from home.
And absolutely. I mean, they turned out to be a great companion at a time when that individual needed a companion to be with them. They were a great support animal. And now sort of, things have moved a little different. Those lifestyles, people wanting to return back to what they had before. And the animal was still an important part of their life, but it wasn't the focus. Now we're finding a situation where we're still seeing animals return to the shelter. But having said that, it's awareness. It's making sure people realize that where we are, who we are, and that we're there to help. So trying to contact us before they get to that situation is critical.
Okay. Also, things like fostering an animal, because then it's not counted, it's not taken up one of those, 100 crates or whatever. It is, you've got that available, and, some dogs might need, or cats, might need bottle feeding or extra attention or whatever.
And you've hit a great point. I mean, our foster program is tremendous. It's well managed, and certainly from a standpoint that we have over 180 animals in foster.
Holy cow!
Yeah, so we're pretty much managing a shelter outside of a shelter through the community. And these are probably about anything from 80 to 100 families that have committed to helping the shelter raise kittens, that are unweaned.
Yeah.
And these are animals that, require that around-the-clock moment.
They do. Like, people I know who've done it, they set their alarm every 2 hours. I mean, it doesn't last for very long.
Right.
That initial period. But it's also fun.
It is.
They're so cute.
You get a chance to sort of, raise a life without the commitment of retaining that for the rest of your life situation. So again, you get that fun part if you think getting up every 2 hours is fun. But certainly from a standpoint that it allows us, just as you've shared, to utilize our space in a different way. So we can certainly focus there more on animals that we can move quickly through the process to get adopted. Animals that have special needs, not just the unweaned kittens. Some animals really don't thrive in a shelter. It's important for us to put them in a situation where they're going to start to decompress, where they can actually...
It's traumatic,
Well, absolutely.
Being tossed out off onto the street and living on the street for a while before you get picked up.
You're absolutely right.
I can't imagine.
Absolutely right.
So people can do that. They should call the shelter.
Yes. So on our website, we have opportunities for people to go onto our website. They can sign for foster. They can sign for dog walking. They can come in and assist through our volunteer program. Again,
So kids love animals.
Sure.
But you can't necessarily use unsupervised kids under a certain age. Like, what's the age at which they could volunteer?
So from a shelter's responsibility part, 18 and above is considered certainly where we can train and we can work them into most of our operations.
But mom or dad could sign up to be a dog walker and bring
Absolutely.
the kid along,
So
right?
around 16, that gives them, they're chaperoned by their parent, so they can still be involved. So actually it's a great opportunity for the family to get involved in the shelter.
Right.
And utilize that.
Also when you're weighing the idea of a pet, it's a great thing to give kids the idea of how much work it is, and are they really still willing to do that?
You're absolutely right. As I say, it's a commitment for life, and you've got to plan accordingly on this.
Donations, you need any of those? You need items or money?
Always. Well, certainly we're fortunate enough that we have a 501c3 organization, Friends Of. So we're trying to certainly leverage opportunities for grants for the shelter and so on. But also it allows us to create another arm of the shelter, which allows us fundraising opportunities within the community, just for the reasons that you had shared. A lot of people's perspective is, you're already funded, so why should
that's hard.
I?
Like the History Museum feels that all of the kind of city-ish institutions are funded to a certain level. Same with the libraries. They're funded to a certain level. But if you want to do a summer reading program or give prizes to kids, that money's got to come somewhere. And same thing for you.
Absolutely.
You're probably not funded for toys and, above and beyond, but it's not really above and beyond because you kind of need it.
Well, right. I mean, certainly making sure that the animal is, stimulated mentally is critical. But back to dog walkers, volunteers that come in. So that is a great resource to us. So getting the community involved with what we do and how we do it, that would be a tremendous thing. Obviously, the basics of things like blankets, towels, always needed. Because again, we want to keep it as much of a comfortable environment for the animal as we possibly can. So again, sort of some of the things they can nestle into, make a little bed of their own, is one of those moments that you want to sort of nurture and develop. So we're always looking for things in that sense. Toys, treats, absolutely. Our website, we normally have a list of items that people can go to and look at and say, yeah, we can provide that.
Okay.
So again, we really want to just make sure that people are involved in their shelter, that they take an interest to want to be able to see how they can help. And it makes it better for everyone that we have as residents in that shelter, to the staff that work every day.
Oh, and tell us where you are, because again, unless people are driving down that section of Jefferson Avenue, it's not something many people drive past. And frankly, it doesn't have flashing neon signs.
Sure. So we're located at 5843 Jefferson Avenue. So if you were to travel down Mercury going to the James River Bridge, you would take a left as if you're going down to downtown Newport News. And we're on the corner.
Or you would just go up Briarfield and kind of keep going.
Absolutely, and just keep going.
Across.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're sort of located in a easy to travel to location, but just as you've shared, a lot of people just don't travel that part of the city.
Okay, well, is there anything you guys would like to add before we close?
The pet resource booklet is also on the website.
Oh, that's good.
So
if
plenty.
you're thinking.
Yep, there's plenty of information on the website for rehoming your own pet. The home-to-home website's also on our Peninsula Regional Animal Shelter website.
Okay. Well, thank you both for stopping by.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Of course. And thank you for watching. I hope that if you are an animal lover, there is something you can contribute here, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's taking on a foster dog. And importantly, if you know someone who is considering giving up their pet, talk to them ahead of time. Give them the information about this resource that they have available online or over the phone. Thanks for watching.